Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to have you back for lesson number 2 of Mike's sales training. How you doing today, Mike?
I am well. We've actually got a summer day in the spring and it's going to go away. So summer this year hits today. We're going to be 78 and then we're back into the 60s. But we'll take it. You can see I was out in the yard this morning for 20 minutes and I got sunburned. That shows you what the winters are like in Seattle. So anyway, for those of you who are visiting and want to get rolling, we are on lesson 2, which is in page 4 of the manual. And Amanda, would you like to tell them, for those that are new, where they can find all this stuff?
Perfect. Yes, we'll just show you really quick. So you go to your back office, click on Travel Cafe. Once you're in here, you'll see the trainings tab. You're going to click on that. And we want you to get started right away. So it's under Quick Start and then click on Sales Training Certification Program. Perfect. Right here, you're going to find your checklist for certification. Here's the link to the PDF, all the videos you need to watch if you missed any or want to review them. And then you're going to email Mike for your final exam. So here's the PDF. I'll link it in chat, but you do need to be logged into the back office to be able to download it. That's it for me.
Okay. Okay. So those of you that don't have the manual, this will be a little bit of a struggle. Do is I'm going to be pounding on you, and Jose tells you that this is a relationship business, and this course that we are teaching you doesn't work if you're used to doing things digitally. That's not the way to build a business. And I'm sure some of you that have already tried this have found some frustrations in there. So this is the first of 3 weeks where we're talking about how you establish a relationship, how you figure out how we figure out what our own personal styles are, and how we can relate to the other styles. So it's a 3-week course, and this is the foundation for the rest of the selling process, even though it doesn't have anything to do with sales itself. So half of this course is learning about other people and and asking questions. The selling part is like 2 or 3 of the lessons. So, but this is the foundation. So what we're going to talk about today, you should be on page 4, and we're going to be talking about how do you identify your personality, and then how do you figure out how you work with personalities whose are different from yours. All right, so what is a behavioral style? What is our style? So look at the first paragraph under the lesson 2 heading. And it says, each of us has a unique and distinct personality that sets us apart from all other people. You are unique. There is no other you in the world. All right. And what it's composed of is our minds, intellects, abilities, and our will form our nature. This is what we were born with. This is what we got from our parents. Okay. Our surroundings form our morals, our values, ideas, ideals, our attitudes. Those are our nurture. Those are the things that we learned growing up. And in being in school, you've all heard the nature and nurture way of how people grow and develop. All right. There's a way to develop that, and there's a way to identify that in both ourselves and in other people. And there are some rules before we get into this. There are some rules about behavioral styles that are very, very important. Okay, so go to the top of page 4, and style is based on behaviors which we can observe using verbal and nonverbal clues. And it's only 2 things. It's what people say and what people do. It's not what we interpret. Okay. They will give us body language, tonal inflections, facial expressions. They will tell us what they're thinking and feeling. And all we have to do is observe that by what they say and what they do. The second one, and this one is critical, style is not judging people. Style is not putting them in boxes. There's no good, there's no bad. There just is, and it's what's right for you. All right. And number three is it's not limiting. It's not putting them in boxes. Now, here's a key one. Number four, your style is perfect for you and it's not subject to change. You are who you are. Now, there will be subtle changes. We all have subtle changes as we grow and age over the years. Things that we did in our youth, we wouldn't even think about doing, especially if you're an old fart like me. So, there's just things like I'm not going to be doing 85 miles an hour down the freeway anymore. Not when I was, 16 or 100 miles an hour, which was really dumb. Each style has its strength, which can also be its weaknesses. For example, in an amiable style, an amiable person like I am will view themselves as very cooperative, where somebody who is in a more assertive lifestyle might say, well, you don't know how to make a decision. So there's give and take, there's back and forth, and it's all where you are in your style and it's how you're being viewed. And then this is another key one. We all have behavioral characteristics from each of the other three styles. There's just a home base where we're really, really comfortable. All right. Now, I want you to also understand this is a life skill. This isn't just a selling skill. This is a life skill. And I want to illustrate it by, have you ever walked into a room and you're meeting somebody for the first time and you shake hands and it's like old home week. It's like this has been your best buddy forever. Where have you been? Or you walk in, you shake hands and he goes, man, there's this big wall between us. I don't understand. We give off that kind of information. Our body, our minds process roughly 30 things within the first 30 seconds of meeting somebody as to how we're going to perceive them. One is social. I mean, the obvious thing is male, female, social status, or not financial status, education level by how they talk. We'll figure out what their social status is by how they're dressed. There's a lot of decisions we make early on as to whether or not we want to continue to pursue a relationship with this person. It's no different in the selling process. So that's what we're going to be concentrating on today. So what I want you to do, there's a blank page over on page 6 and 7, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. All right. What I want you to do when we're all done, we're going to talk about what these columns represent and then how you can use them. Okay, so columns 1 and 2 go together, and they are they're words or phrases that apply to you or don't apply to you. So column 1 and 2 has to do with emotions. Columns 3 and 4 have to do with our assertiveness or our aggressiveness. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to establish what your own personal home base style is, and then I'm going to show you how you can really solidify that, especially those of you that are maybe pretty close to another style. So I want you to imagine that you are in a room, you're in a party, okay? So we're going to talk about the emotions first. So I want you to read the top. And those of you that haven't downloaded this yet, this is going to be your homework. You're going to download the manual and then do this. So you may have to come back into the video to review this. So imagine you're at a party at your house and you're in the kitchen preparing stuff. And it's kind of an open concept. And so there's people out in the dining area and they're talking about stuff. And you over here, they're talking about you. And there's like 4 or 5 of them. There could be your spouse, it could be your kids, it could be your best friend, it could be a coworker, it could be your boss. Doesn't matter who it is. They are talking about you. And when they talk about you, they are using these words and phrases. So what your job is to figure out, if they're talking about you, which one of these, and you're going to go down line by line. What you're looking at is mine, so you can understand what we're doing. So am I perceived when they're talking about me, do they perceive me as cool or warm? And I check warm. Am I reserved or approachable? I'm pretty reserved. Am I communicative or uncommunicative? I'm a pretty open communicating type of a guy. Am I guarded or open? I'm pretty much guarded. I keep everything you can I keep everything inside. My problem is my face gives me away and you know what I'm thinking. So so you're going to go down this checklist on every single one, line by line, and you're going to check one or the other. You can't check them both, and you can't leave any line blank. When you're all done, you should have a total of 16 check marks. Okay, so you're going to put column check marks in column one are in. So I had 7, and my check marks from column 2 are 9. All right, so that gives me a -2. That's okay. Negative numbers are okay. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with them in a moment. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take about 2 minutes and you're going to fill this form out. And then when you're all finished, put a thumbs up or a smiley face or a hand clap in the chat so Amanda can see it. And then when the bulk of you are finished, we're going to go to the next step and I'm going to tell you how we're going to do the next one. Okay, so this is about emotions. Fill this out, and then when you're all done, let Amanda know. And if you have any questions, type them up in chat.
Okay, perfect. We have a couple people done so far.
Okay.
I think we can wait another 15 seconds and then we can move on.
Okie doke. Okay, so now that you've done that, now we're going to go to the other side and we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time we're talking about our level of assertiveness or our level of aggressiveness. So you can see I'm competitive. I'm cooperative, but I'm more competitive. Remember, this is more than 50% of the time. Am I faster or am I slower paced? I'm typically slower paced, and I'm not a risk taker. I'm a risk avoider. So let's take another couple of minutes, and you're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the emotions. You're going to do the exact same thing on adding your totals. Now you should mine were on this side. Mine were 15. You should have 16 on, or I'm sorry, 15 on here. You're right. So we should have 15. So you can't get to a 0 because 0 means we don't know where you are. Sorry, I made a mistake on the emotions part. There's only 15 lines, not 16. There's 15 on each side.
Perfect. Let us know when you are done filling out column 3 and 4 in chat. Okay. Looks
All
like
right.
some people are done, so we can move on.
Okay. So now what you're going to do is this is what it should look like at the very end. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to that blank one, and we're going to find where you are on the chart. All right. So take the total from 1 and 2, and if you have a negative number, go to your line on the vertical scale. So here's the vertical scale. I was a -2. So I am right here. And then I was a -1 on the horizontal scale. So what I did was I just drew a line parallel to the vertical scale, and then I drew a line parallel to the horizontal scale. Where those two lines cross is your home base style. All right. So you can see I'm an amiable, but I want you to look. We're going to address this a little bit more. You see these, so the solid lines those are the two things we're measuring. But if you look at the dotted lines, these are influences you have from some of the other quadrants. So because I'm in this middle quadrant right here, I have some influences. In fact, I have a lot of influences from the driver's side. You'll notice I only have a certain amount of time to get this class done, so I go into driver mode. I need to have the control. I need to get things done. So the amiable part of me kind of takes a back seat for this amount of time. So what I want you to do is do what I did. Find your emotions, whatever that number is, on the scale. Draw a line. Find it on the assertive. Find it. Draw a line where those two intersect is your home base style. All right. That's it. That's all there is. All right. So you see negative numbers to the left and to the bottom. So if you are farther out, let's just take an example. Let's say that you are like a +5 and a minus 3 or 4. So you're kind of in the expressive style, pretty good. So you're not going to have a lot of traits from the other styles, but that's okay. That's who you are, so don't worry about it. But remember, there's no good or bad. There's no judging. What we're trying to do is establish a base for who you are and how you like to operate. All right, so here is what we're going to talk about. These are, if you go over to page, you'll see some blank ones. Go over to page 10. All right, this gives you the basics of who people are. So we amiables, all right, we're people pleasers. For the most part, we're pretty well balanced. We're pretty sympathetic. Most of us are diplomatic. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. We love to be in groups. We like to be collaborators. We don't like conflict. Of all of the 4 styles, amiables are the ones that hate conflict the most. All right. So if you are like a driver or an expressive and you thrive in chaos, you're going to have to modify your behavior when you've identified an amiable, because for the most part, amiables don't. They don't like conflict. And then they are slow decision making. So before we go any farther, one of the phrases that you're going to hear me say from the rest of the class is when we talk about behavioral styles, because it is part of the entire selling process. And it's easy to get somebody into a half pretty quickly. You can identify if they're emotional or not emotional, which is above the line and below the line. And you can identify, which would be above the line people would be analyticals and drivers, and below the line people would be amiables and expressives. Or you can identify, are they very assertive or are they non-assertive? That would be left of the line, right of the line. So left of the line people are the analyticals and the amiables, and the right of the line people, the assertive people, are the drivers and the expressives. So you'll hear me talk a lot about above the line, below the line, or right of the line, left of the line. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. Analyticals, we're talking about left of the line people here. Okay, they're serious, they're purposeful, they're self-disciplined. You can see these are the facts and the data people. Where amiables are, somebody says to you, I'm a people person, they've just identified themselves as either an amiable or an expressive, depending on their assertiveness level. But analyticals, these are the facts and data people, the CEOs, the CFOs, the attorneys, the lawyers, the accountants. These are the people that like to work with facts and data, and people, not so much. They are perfectionists. When you're dealing with an analytical, you've got to have all your ducks in a row when you're making a presentation to them. They're neat and tidy. An easy way to identify somebody's style is when you walk into their home or office. What does it look like? Is it neat and tidy? Is it and it's not dirty, but is it messy? Well, pretty much if you got kids, your house is messy. I get that. But is the house generally in order? So they like facts and data. So when you're talking to them, like I said, you have all your ducks in a row. And like amiables, they make decisions very slowly. They base it on, they're going to take a long time to think. So if you're struggling with getting somebody to make a decision, the more you're prepared to talk to them, the faster they're going to make that decision. But it's based on facts and data. It's not based on emotions. So they're going to need time to digest all of that data to make sure that what they're doing is the correct decision for them. All right. Drivers. These are the entrepreneurs. These are the visionaries. These are the guys that are go 20 hours a day, and they're very dynamic. As a rule, they're very charismatic, and they have a tendency to pull people along with them. They're the visionaries. They're very determined. Don't get in the way of a driver. They'll just bulldoze you. They like to get things done, and for the most part, they like to get things done their way. And so that's an important thing to when you're making a presentation to them. These are the people why you always like to give them options in their when you're making a presentation to them. Jose talks about this a lot. You can give people too many options. Typically, in a complex sale, you don't want to give them more than two because it's just too much to digest. So if you've been doing that, this course will really help you on figuring out how to pare down to two really comprehensive proposals that they know that they will listen to because they've told you what they want to buy by the questions you ask. And that comes in week 4. They like risk. They don't mind taking risk. And they'll make quick decisions. And they love, like I said, these are the my way or the highway guys. And they are very fast decision makers. So that's just, and you can read all of this on page 10, but I'm just kind of going to you in a little bit more. So expressives, very outgoing. All right. An expressive is, they like recognition. Well, first of all, they're outgoing and they're charismatic as well, but they are also very ambitious. The problem with their ambition is because they're global thinkers, they don't deal a lot in facts and data, so they rely on other people to help them get where they want to go. So if you've identified an expressive, you're going to have to talk in a lot of generalities because they're very charismatic. They'll pull you along with them just like a driver will, but in a different way. They're very persuasive. Those of you that have spent any time talking to my brother Ron, these are exactly his characteristics. So you get the idea. All right. They are less time disciplined. Expressives are the toughest people to sell to because they love to tell stories and they love to hear stories. So keeping on task with an expressive is going to be a challenge, especially for people that you're facts and data oriented. You want to get right to the heart of the matter, and they'll wander all over the place before you get there. So that can be a little bit challenging. But they're less, and that's why they're a little less time disciplined. They love the recognition. These are the guys that'll buy a $200,000 car and take up 3 parking spots in front of the restaurant so that you know they're there. So they love name dropping. If you've got some names to drop them. You know, if it's somebody that they would recognize, that's what they're all about. They want when you walk into the room. I always ask when Ron was really young, and he was just starting off as a sales rep with mom and dad. I asked him one time. I said, "What's your goal in helping mom and dad run the business?" And he's like 25. And he goes, "When I walk into the room of a meeting, I want everybody in that room to say, 'There goes Ron Archer.'" That's the classic expressive. So, and he loves that when I tell that story. So, and again, they are fast decision makers. So, these are the basics. These are the basics of each style. There's way more into that, as you can probably guess. But there's one thing I want to talk about that is really critical here. So, for example, for me as an amiable, if you look at the arrows on the little arrows here on the outside of each line and then here in the middle, these are the styles that have our influences. So if you're way out here someplace, you're going to have a lot of, so if you're an analytical up here, you're going to have a lot of influence from the amiable simply because you're not very assertive. Now, what is critical to this is what a style is to you might be toxic. For example, because I'm an amiable, but I have driving tendencies, because I am less assertive and a little bit more emotional, I am more likely to have issues selling to a driver who's just the opposite. They are less emotional and more assertive. That's called toxicity. It's a toxic style. So amiables and drivers are likely to have issues with each other, and analyticals and expressives are likely to have issues with each other. Obviously, you can get into a toxic relationship with anybody. It can happen, and I've had it happen to me in all 4 styles in my 30 years of selling stuff. So, but this is the one where you're more likely to have issues. So if you're an amiable and you've identified, especially like I'm in here, if I was down in here someplace, I would have a ton of trouble with a driver. But because I've got driving tendencies of my own, for me, it's not so much of a problem. So you could have trouble with anyone. It's just pay attention to the toxicness that can develop, and not just on opposite styles, but it can develop pretty much anywhere. And pay attention to this because this is on the test. All right, so style toxicity is on the test. So amiables and drivers are going to have issues, and analyticals and expressives are going to have issues. Although I've had some really good answers where they tell me why they've got issues with somebody that's not in the opposite style, and I accept the answer because they're well-reasoned answers. Okay, now page 11. remember, I told you that styles are what people say and what people do, verbal and nonverbal. And here are some of the characteristics to look for. All right, and we're going to go through it. So, characteristics of the amiable: the voice, softer. Let's hold on a second. I got to. Nope, go back one. Okay, so amiables, for example, their voices are typically softer, slower. There's some animation, some inflection. So you can see across the top, amiables, analyticals, drivers, and expressives. And you can see down here, these are the characteristics. The ones that you can pick up on immediately that will give you a whole bunch of clues. And I want you to highlight these. The first one is the handshake. Okay, highlight that. How do people shake hands? People like to shake hands in all kinds of different ways. Have you ever shaken hands with, it's hard to see, but have you ever shaken hands with somebody who comes in underneath? What are they telling you? They're saying, I'm all yours, use me, abuse me, I'll do whatever you say. These are the classic amiables. On the other hand, have you ever shaken hands with somebody who comes in over the top? These are the people that are, I'm in control, everything's okay, I got you covered, don't worry about a thing, I got this. Okay? Those of you that haven't ever paid much attention to handshakes, there's a good business handshake. And you just go thumb up, fingers pointed right at your customer, somewhere like in here. And then when you shake hands, you go web to web. So you have a firm grip in here. And so it's firm, but you're not killing them. That's a good business handshake. And it's men to men, women to women, men and women to women and men. So pay attention to the handshake. Pay attention to the facial expression. If your goal is to have a smile on your face and a smile in your voice. When you do that, that gives a clue as to who you are and also that you're a trustworthy person. But if you have somebody that's deadpanned, not a lot of emotion, pay attention to that because chances are they're a less emotional person. All right. So facial expression, highlight that, highlight smile, highlight contact. All right. Those are the key ones. And then on the lesser ones, one of the ones that you will get as you go along is their gesturing. People who gesture outside of their shoulders are typically more assertive and more emotional. People who have a tendency to keep all their body motions inside their shoulders have a tendency to be less assertive and less emotional people. It's just something to pay attention to. But these are the things of what people say and what people do as how you do that. Okay, so that's it for today. Amanda, are there any questions?
Perfect. I don't see any questions at the moment, but if they do come up with questions, they can reach out to you, right?
They can. They can give me a call, 206-979-4249, or just email me, mike@archtravel.com. Piece of cake. So the other thing is, if the behavioral styles and getting yourself into your own style, if you're a little bit confused by that, go ahead and fill it out and then take a snapshot of it and send it to me and let me look at it. And if you have any, and then tell me whatever questions you have, and then I can send it back to you, say, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. And then you can, once I send you whatever corrections are needed, do it again and then send it back to me until we get you comfortable with where you are in your own home-based style. So that's it for today. Next week, we're going to talk about, okay, now that I know who I am, how am I going to interact with other people? So you've got homework tonight. I want you to do 3 of these. You've done one on you. I want you to do one on a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, I want you to do one on a kid. One, if you got kids, do one on one of your kids, and do one on a friend. Do 3 or 4 of these. They're a lot of fun, and then that will give you an idea of where your own friends and family are. So, all right, that's it. I'll see everybody next week. Bye.